Hi 7M Underground and all of the major Lance fans out there in the tribe. I'm Mercedes Sparks and today I am here with David Harris Jr. And so Dave and I are both at the press club today talking about border security, funding the wall, and you were a special guest today as an influencer, really. So David got up, I've got the video, I'll share it, I'll put it in this video too, but probably 3 to 4 minutes, and I didn't know this, but you have your own story of almost being an angel husband. And I mean, I didn't even know that. So why don't you share that and how this is so close to your heart?
Yeah, thank you, Mercedes, for having me on today. Thank you, Lance, and all Lance's followers, faithful friends. I love you guys all. We heard so many just really horrific stories that families have gone through losing loved ones. Yeah. And I shared that I was almost on that same side of the aisle. My wife was hit by a drunk driving illegal alien that had been deported once already before. He had a blood alcohol level of over 2.0. He was driving over 60 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour street.
Wow. And
he blew right through a stop sign right as my wife had just stopped, and then proceeded to go through the intersection and got hit. Now, he almost T-boned her. I know it was God or an angel that turned that steering wheel just enough. Wow. For his big Chevy van that he was driving to hit the back of her driver's side car and not her driver's side door. The doctor said that had he have struck the door, it would have killed her. So I almost have one of those stories myself. I'm so thankful that I don't, but it shouldn't happen.
Yes.
It's an unnecessary evil that's taken place in our country that a border wall will drastically reduce, if not solve.
Yeah.
There's already a lot of illegals that are already here, but there's no reason to keep our border unsecured to the point where they can just walk across our border and bring with them all the drugs and the crime and everything else that they're bringing.
Absolutely.
So it hits really close to home, and for any American that doesn't understand why we need border security, or they're calling Donald Trump a racist, they're saying even Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are saying it's immoral, and they're making this all out to be against Donald Trump. And the problem with that is, the first construction of the border wall actually began in 1993.
Wow.
It's not a new thing that our country has wanted and felt the need to have border security and a strong border wall.
Yeah.
Then more construction was passed in 2006. So this is something that our country has been asking for, and a lot of presidents have been fighting for and saying that they want for decades. I'm thankful that we finally have a president that says, I'm done talking about it.
Yeah.
The crisis is here and it's now,
and
we need to finish what past presidents have started. And so that's why I'm here to support the border wall, so that we don't have more needless deaths or even just catastrophes. It was still very financially strenuous on us as a family. The illegal alien didn't have any insurance.
Wow.
We only had $15,000 of uninsured motorist coverage.
Wow.
Not thinking about getting hit by a illegal that might not have insurance. Our bills are over $150,000. We had to bear the weight of that on top of my wife, having to be, she was bedridden for weeks.
Wow.
And I had to feed her, and it was horrific. So no family should have to go through that.
Yes.
And it's an unnecessary evil that's taking place. And the Democrats that are standing in the way of that, they're not fighting for Americans, they're fighting for illegals, and it's just wrong.
Well, I like what was shared today too, is when, you had all of an angel wife, an angel husband, father, up there talking and saying this isn't a manufactured crisis.
Yeah.
And for the Democrats, for Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to say this is a manufactured crisis is a very real thing that's happening. So you have stories like this, almost testimonies like this, to the heartache and the hardship that actual Americans are going through, and we still can't get funding for the wall, which is so interesting. I was following you on Facebook, and you shared an article maybe like a week and a half ago, that in fact, Nancy and Chuck have supported a border wall in the past.
Yep.
In fact, for how long is it?
$500 million. They both signed on a bill to provide funding for Jordan for a big concrete wall for their border.
That's the only problem, is in Jordan.
Yeah.
So they've supported it in the past. It just happens to be in Jordan. So why we're not supporting it now for our American citizens is just an interesting thing.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, where are their allegiances? Is it with the American people? And I think the longer that this shutdown drags on, the more Americans are going to wake up and realize the Democrats are not fighting. The ones that are against the wall are not fighting for Americans.
Yeah.
They're fighting politically, and they're throwing American citizens under the bus.
Yeah. And then the only thing I want to say in closing, in listening to all of the different stories in there today, the two things that kind of resonate in my spirit have been just the amount of injustice that is happening around this issue, and then the idea of really putting on the full armor of God and knowing that we don't war against flesh and blood, but we war against principalities and powers of the air, spiritual beings. But in the midst of it all, you stand there. We're doing our part. You're here. You're sharing. We just talked to Aisha. She's getting it all together, and now we're sharing with masses. But having done all to stand there for. And that is the thing that when I think I look at President Trump, and I feel like here's a man that is standing for what he believes in, that is standing for the wives, the husbands, the parents of these angel families, and for every single American citizen, whether they know they need the wall or not. So anyways, it just so resonated with me today. I just want to share that with our viewers. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're going to do a couple more broadcasts like this in the 7M Underground. And David, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Mercedes, always a blessing. Love you guys.